Good evening, viewers. You're watching India Today. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. A special broadcast with Maria and I over the course of the next 45 minutes are going to bring you two big stories that are unfolding as we speak. Number one, the disconcerting news that is coming in from across the border in Nepal. Complete anarchy on the streets of Nepal. Political chaos grips Nepal right now. What's going to come of that? We're going to get you more, delve deeper into that. And the other big story, Maria, that we're going to look at very cleanly. Back home, well, in just about an hour, we're all set to have the 14th Vice President of the country.
Yes, Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan, who is at present at Prahlad Joshi's residence. We'll get details of what he is up to and when is Prime Minister Modi going to visit him. And those visuals will perhaps send a clear message of how the events will be playing out in the Rajya Sabha. And did the NDA actually come up with some surprises in these vice presidential elections? That's also our second story at this hour. But first up, the headlines. Chaos prevails on the streets in Nepal. Prime Minister KP Oli resigns from post. The president resigns as well. Protesters take out victory march in Kathmandu. Nepalese parliament and presidential palace set ablaze. Several ministers targeted.
Back home, Ministry of External Affairs asks Indians to defer travelling to Nepal, issue helpline numbers for Indians stranded in Nepal. MEA asks them to stay indoors and exercise extreme caution.
And counting begins in the vice presidential elections. About 97% of MPs cast their votes. All eyes are on who will be the next vice president of India.
Prime Minister's aerial survey of floods-affected regions in Himachal Pradesh and Punjab. Prime Minister Modi also reviews relief efforts in both states and meets families of flood victims in Himachal.
And in India today, South Conclave, Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, D.K. Shiv Kumar, makes a claim. He says Dharamsthala case is an internal squabble between BJP and the RSS.
It is an internal squabbling between the BJP and the RSS. I'm on record, 100% I'm record. If you want, I will give the documentation, I will give the statements, I will give the speeches of then the BJP president, the RSS leaders, all of them.
All right, viewers, on to our top story from Nepal. The escalation of violence against political figures, political institutions, private institutions has clearly taken a very dangerous turn. The situation on ground remains very grim in Nepal. The Nepal Army Chief is going to brief the nation shortly because, Maria, with the sequence of events, the Prime Minister has resigned, the President has resigned, all the cabinet ministers have stepped down, and now there's open anarchy with political leaders, their families being attacked. The wife of a former Prime Minister burnt to death.
Former Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba and his wife targeted as well. Arjun Rana Deuba was the country's foreign minister. She was attacked by the protesters. In fact, what we can also tell our viewers is that the president of Nepal, President Paudel, resigned as well. Jhalanthan Thanel's wife was set ablaze and she passed away. A large number of protesters have gathered also outside the Tribhuvan airport, that is the international airport in Kathmandu. Now the army is in charge of Nepal is the message that is coming in, even as the protest has taken a violent turn.
All right, viewers, because this is disconcerting and worrying because there's already an advisory that has been issued by India to not to travel to Kathmandu, and if you're there, then be indoors. Because the word right now coming in, Maria, is disturbing. that protesters have now gathered in large numbers right outside Kathmandu airport. Just a short while ago, we had connected to those very worried passengers who are stranded, Indian nationals stranded on the airports, where all operations have been stalled interimly, and they've been asked to leave the airport because they fear that the Kathmandu airport can come under attack. We don't want to sound sensational here, but right now the word coming in is that at the Kathmandu airport, the army has stopped protesters from coming in inside. Let's try and get a word in from Pankaj Das, who's joining us from Kathmandu, Nepal, for more. Pankaj, you know, there are a lot of people, a lot of Indian nationals, as I speak, who are stuck at the Kathmandu International Airport, very, very worried, trying to connect with us because they've been told to leave the airport. Outside is a huge mob, which is gathered there wanting to get inside. What's the latest that you're getting?
अभी वहां एक बड़ी भारी संख्या में प्रदर्शनकारी जो है जो काठमांडू एयरपोर्ट के गेट तक पहुंच चुके हैं, लेकिन सेना ने उन्हें रोक के रखा हुआ। सेना ने अपनी पूरी ताकत लगा दी है कि कम से कम एयरपोर्ट पर कुछ भी इस तरह का दुर्घटना न हो जिसके कारण ये जो है स्थिति और अधिक बिगड़ जाए। तो सेना ने एयरपोर्ट पर कमान संभाल लिया है और प्रदर्शनकारियों की संख्या बहुत अधिक होने के बावजूद उन्हें रोक के रखा हुआ है। चारों तरफ से एयरपोर्ट को जो है वो सील कर दिया गया है, सुरक्षा के कड़े इंतजाम कर दिए गए। सेना की अतिरिक्त टुकड़ी भी एयरपोर्ट पर भेज दी गई है, क्योंकि जो वहां पे एयरपोर्ट पर ही नेपाल आर्मी का जो फ्लाइंग कई सारे उनके हेलीकॉप्टर्स, कई सारे उनके चॉपर्स वहां पर मौजूद हैं, उनके स्काई ट्रक मौजूद है। वहां पे आर्मी का एक बहुत बड़ा वहां पे उनके इक्विपमेंट्स सब वहां पे हैं, तो उनकी भी सुरक्षा करना और साथ में जो पैसेंजर अभी वहां पे फंसे हुए हैं उनकी भी सुरक्षा करना उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है। तो बाकी शहरों में तो कहीं पर भी कुछ भी कंट्रोल होता हुआ नहीं दिख रहा है, लेकिन कम से कम एयरपोर्ट भी सिक्योर हो जाए, तो जो वहाँ विमान है कहीं उनमें भी कुछ आगजनी इस तरह की बात न हो जाए जिससे बहुत बड़ा नुकसान हो सकता है।
जो त्रिभुवन इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट है वो अभी किसके कंट्रोल में है? क्या आर्मी उसको गाइड कर रही है, वो गार्ड कर रही है?
बिल्कुल, आर्मी ने अपने कंट्रोल में ले लिया है त्रिभुवन इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट को। उसकी पूरी सुरक्षा आर्मी ने अपने हाथों में ले लिया है। हालांकि वहां पर जो है आर्म पुलिस फोर्स भी थे, लेकिन उन सब ने हाथ खड़े कर दिए। अभी गेट पर प्रदर्शनकारियों को रोकने का काम जो है वो आर्मी की तरफ से किया जा रहा है और उनको लग रहा है कि एक भी प्रदर्शनकारी भीतर न घुस पाए, नहीं तो बहुत बड़ी क्षति हो जाएगी एयरपोर्ट में अगर प्रदर्शनकारी घुस गए तो। क्योंकि जिस तरह से काठमांडू के दूसरे जगह में हिंसा की खबरें आ रही है, अगर एयरपोर्ट में हो गया तो एक बहुत बड़ी
खड़े
दुर्घटना
हैं
हो
क्या?
जाएगी।
कितना प्रोटेस्टर्स बहुत ज्यादा तादाद में बाहर हैं जो अंदर आने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं अभी?
हजारों की संख्या में। उन्हें क्या डर है कि सारे जो मंत्री हैं जिनको सेना के हेलीकॉप्टर से मंत्री क्वार्टर से निकाला गया, उन सबको एयरपोर्ट पर ही रखा गया है और प्रदर्शनकारियों को कहीं ना कहीं आशंका है कि प्रधानमंत्री भी
हम आपके पास फिर से आएंगे। शाश्वत इज अ प्रोटेस्टर, ही इज जॉइनिंग अस फ्रॉम काठमांडू। शाश्वत, the situation there is certainly worrying. The question is this what the Gen Z wanted? The revolution that you were asking for and aiming for, is this the goal?
No, absolutely not. I see outside of my house, I see my hometown being covered with smoke, and I hate to think that it will be an omen for what's coming tomorrow. This really is troubling
It's
me.
troubling you, but do you fear your protest has been taken over by unwanted elements? It's been infiltrated politically. Is that what you fear?
So I was one of the voices who raised concerns over the social media ban and corruption, the rampant corruption going on in this country, which led to the September 8th protest. Our agenda was very simple, to lift the bans, to ensure freedom of speech is protected, to ensure the anti-corruption authorities are empowered enough. But this has completely this has gone to a very dangerous level right now, and I'm genuinely worried to see what is happening outside in the media, in the news. Our agenda was very simple. We wanted to negotiate with the government, not to topple it down undemocratically, frankly, and to incite riots and to burn the buildings that we paid for. This is completely absurd to me that this has
One of the
happened.
most disturbing news which has come in just few hours ago is the death of Jhalanath Khanal's wife, She has passed away. She was a spouse of a former prime minister. He was the chairman of the Communist Party of Nepal. Then former Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deoba has been targeted. His wife has been attacked as well. What kind of protest is this? If it is about anti-establishment or anti-government, the government is no longer there in Nepal. The Prime Minister has resigned already. Isn't that what your aim was? You wanted the government to be toppled. That has been achieved. Why target former prime ministers and their family members?
Our aim was to lift the ban on social media, to ensure anti-corruption establishments are empowered. The government decided to kill us on September 8th, which is why our aim shifted to now toppling down the government and bringing those murderers to justice. However, people outside of our group, people with various interests in their hands, certainly have influenced this protest,
Right.
and basically, yes, they have
One quick
influenced the
question
mass.
before we are going to let you go. Because, like you said, this protest was organic. Many, like you, had joined it in the spirit of free speech and today are disturbed by what you're seeing outside. What is it that the lot of you, the Gen Z, because clearly the power of the people, the power
Yes.
of Gen Z was huge, which escalated this entire crisis in Nepal. And now it's disturbing, it's violent, it's insidious. What is the lot of you who are going to come together and do to try and assuage the situation that is taking place in your own country? It's practically burning right now. Are you planning on something? Is there something that you're looking at, banding together to maybe stop this anarchy?
We're sending in teams. We're monitoring the buildings which have been set ablaze by the protesters. We are trying to coordinate. Our team is entirely in the field. I'm staying in my home, trying to monitor all the activities.
Is there a
helping the
name
police.
that you have that you want to take control, that you want that person to take control, to step
Yes.
into the shoes of the former Prime Minister Oli? Is there a name that you have? That this is the person, he should take control?
I do not. I do not have any names. I think the public should decide in a snap election that should be called immediately.
So you are demanding a snap election. That's one of the
Absolutely.
demands, as we have been saying, that these are multiple groups. These are motley
Yes.
group of individuals who have all come together in the name of Gen Z protesters in Nepal. Thank you for joining us, Shaswat. We have Ambassador Manjeev Singh Puri also joining us, Indian ambassador, former Indian ambassador to Nepal. Ambassador Puri, how are you looking at these developments in the neighborhood? Okay, we'll try and connect with Ambassador Puri in just a bit, but Preeti, very, very concerning visuals coming in, even as reports are suggesting that there is a group of Gen Z protesters who are demanding that the present mayor of Kathmandu should take charge. There are a number of them who have put up that request, that former rapper who is now the mayor of Kathmandu, someone who's seen as more acceptable. He is also, in fact, Ambassador Puri is back with us. Ambassador Puri, how do you look at these developments that are taking place in Nepal? Ambassador, if you heard me.
I can hear you very clearly. What's the question,
Ye-
please? Thank you.
Yes, sir, my question is, how do you look at the developments which are taking place in Nepal?
Well, thank you very much, Maria. I want to tell you, these have to be looked at seriously. What has happened, and as you asked the questions, has the mob gone really out of control? Yes, these are all serious matters. But on the other hand, let's just look at it. It's a situation of people taking things in their own hand, in a sense, a very, let me say, an element of violence in democracy, which is happening there. Because what was happening in Nepal, we need to understand that. You had the two principal parties in the parliament joined together in a combination, which meant that two-thirds of parliament was in the government. And so, what did you have in terms of opposition and the ability to vent from the sources of the parliament itself? That became problematic. Now, over years, Nepal has had a major issue in terms of its economics. The young feel frustrated. There's nothing much happening in terms of jobs. And the top people in the establishment were, in a sense, rotating the prime minister's chairs among themselves and really not giving any space. Another very important point for Indian viewers is the issue that Nepal is a very globalized country and a country where people are quite empowered as a result of the fact that about 25% of the population is overseas, and I'm not including India. They're all over the world, in the West, in Australia, in Singapore. Nepal's remittance to GDP ratio is among the 5 highest in the world. And so the connectivity with the world has changed people's aspirations, has changed the way people think, and the young
Right.
are really feeling that, rent-seeking politics, no, that's not acceptable to them. They don't have an answer, but their frustrations is what they are venting. And the
Right.
social media ban was the thin edge of the wedge. It went over. It was badly mishandled. The police opened fire on
Right.
on
But Ambassador
crowd.
Puri, to look at the larger perspective on from where India stands, there seems to be a playbook to all of this. We saw very similar visuals, very similar, exactly the same scenes play out in Bangladesh just about 7, 8 months ago. Right before a year and a half ago, we saw exactly the same playbook, where Sri Lanka was concerned. Our bordering countries, all of them in turmoil with very, very similar circumstances. How should India view this?
Uh, Maria, I don't think we should make these comparisons in this sort of a manner that you are doing. This is a case of democracy in a sense with a greater degree of vibrancy and governments which were rent-seeking to the core. That's exactly what happened in Sri Lanka. The government out there was exactly in the same way. The same thing happened in Nepal here. Bangladesh is quite a different thing with lots of interplays which were taking place out there. Look, what has happened in Sri Lanka. Please see what happened after the mob was allowed to vent its anger and so on. Go back to politics. Things are happening in various ways. I personally believe that the Nepalese, who struggled for democracy over years and years, and finally monarchy was replaced about 20 odd years back, the ideas of democracy are pretty importantly embedded there. Yes, the way this has happened, these mob attacks, etc., certainly not acceptable. But I also think that, like Sri Lanka, and that's the parallel to look at, the army is sort of standing at the back. It has the abilities, it's moved leaders to safe locations, it has the abilities, it's allowing a certain amount of vent. And I hope that by tomorrow, elements of the political process will start. You can see Balan Shah, the mayor himself, saying, who people say is a beneficiary of all this, telling people, now let's calm it. We've got a degree of accountability. The chief head, that of the prime minister, has rolled. We're very sorry. We are listening to you. We'll show empathy. We will be with you. And let's try and take things forward because it's our country. We need to build it together.
But Ambassador Puri, the larger question is about the interim government. As you spoke about Balan Shah, of course, one of the most popular faces because Time magazine had named him among the top 100 emerging leaders of the world as well. How should India be viewing this, particularly after the experience with Muhammad Yunus?
Look, this has nothing to do with Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh. Let's leave that out. Let me tell you, the larger question is democracy in Nepal surviving, our links with the people in Nepal surviving, and our economic links. This is a country with which we have civilizational links, and I don't see those being disrupted. Let's look at the hand that you always talk at the Chinese. Are they happy at the only government being dismissed? They can't be. Who is it? In a sense, if I may use this expression, Nepal has seen globalization in a manner much more than we who had 197 years of colonization. And with this rapid globalization, you had the Western ideas, etc., come in. In a sense, perhaps woke is playing out in Nepal. Woke has become out of fashion in the countries where it began. That's the nature of it. For us, as long as we continue to have our good relations with the people and with the governments, whoever comes in power, and I have no doubt everyone will see the good sense in a good relationship with India because we matter economically, we matter for the people, and we are that great civilizational link with Nepal.
All right, appreciate you joining us, Ambassador Puri. Thank you there for giving us your time. Viewers, but I just want to go back to the ground situation in Nepal. It doesn't look good at all. Right now, there are large numbers that have gathered right outside the international airport in Kathmandu wanting to get inside. The army has taken over the airport. All operations at the airport have been stalled. And now it's an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation where the Nepalese army is concerned and the protesters. And mind you, the protesters are no longer what one had thought that they were, which was a huge part of Gen Z protesting a social media ban. All of that now pales in comparison of what is clearly an insidious plot, not just to dislodge an incumbent government, but also to vent out ire in the most sinister of fashion, with political leaderships being attacked violently. All right. Thousands of Nepal's youth have taken to the streets for 2 consecutive days, defying curfew, but terrifying visuals, Maria, coming to light.
Absolutely, very, very disturbing there. And they have sacrificed their young lives for a clean change. Remember, it has been triggered by social media ban. This youth protest that is raging across the Himalayan country is deep-rooted in frustration over lack of economic growth, nepotism, and corruption. Here's a quick wrap-up of this story of why is Nepal witnessing these historic protests.
Nepal is burning. The government has collapsed. But protests continue. They're young and they're angry because they have seen Nepal rot for years.
I'm here to protest about corruption. The country has gotten so bad that for us youth, there is no grounds for us to stay back in the country. We were here to participate in the peaceful rally to seek improvement in the country, but the police and the administration decided to get violent and shoot first with tear gas and then with bullets. Our demand and desire is for peace and end to corruption so that the people can actually work and live back in the country. We will work to continue putting pressure on the government.
Nepal, a Himalayan country of 30 million people, is known for its turbulent politics. It has seen more than a dozen governments since it transitioned to a republic after abolishing its 239-year-old monarchy in 2008. And that too came after a decade-long civil war. Even then, this protest is the worst unrest in decades.
I don't think this is a fight about monarchy or anything. This is rather a fight against corrupted system. We want directly elected PM and an interim government. That is the actual want from our country. It is an anti-corruption movement without any other vested interest towards monarchy, any other inclination towards monarchy. It might have started from the social media ban, but that was not the major issue. It was rather the corruption that has been going on, and people are frustrated with it. The last straw was the social media ban, where people felt their voices were oppressed.
These protests, the organizers claim, are a reflection of generational frustration at poor economic opportunities in the Himalayan country. A World Bank report shows that the unemployment rate for youth aged 15 to 24 in Nepal was 20.8% in 2024. Nepal's economy is heavily reliant on remittance money sent by Nepalis living abroad. More than a third, that is 33.1% of Nepal's GDP, came from personal remittances. And that number has been on a steady rise over the past 3 decades. As people in general battled with the economy, a viral online movement against Nepo kids, politicians' children, showing off their lavish lifestyles fueled further anger among people.
September 8.
The last nail in the coffin was the government's 4th September decision to block 26 social media platforms, including Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, X, and YouTube. About 24 social network platforms widely used in Nepal were repeatedly given notices to register their companies officially in the country. They were asked to appoint grievance handlers and remove flagged content. Only 5 companies, including TikTok and Viber, complied with the order, and when the others failed, they were blocked in the first week of September. Social media has been the platform for protest and all protest organizations since the last 2 decades. KP Sharma Oli miscalculated its power, and banning it led to complete chaos in Nepal. Bureau Report, India Today.
Because after attacking political leadership, after attacking political institutions, private institutions, the protesters have turned their ire to airports right now. While an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation continues at the Tribhuvan Airport, International Airport in Kathmandu, latest visuals coming in. Protesters have set vehicles on fire just outside the Gautam Buddha International Airport in Bhairava, Nepal.
And Bhairava, just for the benefit of our viewers, is roughly around 4 hours, which is around 192 kilometers from Kathmandu, and that is the distance between the two cities. And that is the second international airport. So after the entire chaos is playing out at the Tribhuvan Airport, there is Gautam Buddha Airport in Bhairava now being targeted by the protesters. So let's bring in our guest now, Preeti.
Well, we're going to just quickly cut across to these visuals that you see of arson, viewers, Anarchy arson, now not just limited to Kathmandu but across Nepal. International Airport, Bhairava, right outside, visuals coming in, vehicles being set on fire, arson reported, violence reported, complete anarchy being reported. I want to cut across to advocate who's joining us from Kathmandu, Arun Gavli with us. Arun, would you give us a sense of what is really happening on ground right now? Because repeatedly we are being joined by protesters, the youth that were part till yesterday. Now they are saying that this is not us. Somebody has, or elements have completely hijacked and taken over our protest. All right, we don't have Arun with us, but viewers, these visuals are disconcerting because, Maria, what clearly is now happening, because nobody is quite in control. The army has taken over airports. There is a pushback. But after yesterday's carnage where 22 youth were killed when the army and the police had opened fire, the army now in restraint